Welcome to the Full Strength Father podcast. I'm your host, Christopher Corper, and founder of Full Strength Father. And today is episode 9. We're going to continue with the theme that we started in episode 8 and talk about our purpose. And this purpose is threefold. First, to lead with integrity. Second, to provide with consistency. And third, to protect our families at all costs. Episode 8, I talked about lead with integrity. And so in today's episode, episode 9, we're going to discuss provide with consistency. So the purpose reads, quote, "My purpose is to provide for my family's physical, financial, and spiritual needs. I work to consistently improve my skills in my chosen field so that I can expand my influence, impact, and income. I am forward-thinking, intentional, informed, and intelligent in the management of all of my resources. I understand that my purpose as a father is to consistently provide for the physical, financial, and spiritual welfare of my family." I love this purpose because it's really helped me in my life stay focused on what I need to take action on. So let's talk about that first sentence. Provide for my family's physical, financial, and spiritual needs. I've identified 5 key things in each of those categories, physical, financial, and spiritual needs, that will help us go deeper into those different areas and understand more of what our purpose is. Now, while I've found 5, there are more. And as this podcast progresses, we will definitely discuss and go deeper into those different areas. So first, physical well-being. The first thing that I've identified is ensuring that our family has nutritious food. We can ensure that our family's dietary needs are met by providing healthy food choices, fruit, vegetables, lean meat, high quality water, whole grains, whole foods, essentially. And we can also ensure that our family is not consuming primarily junk food or sugary processed foods. The nutrition that we help our family cultivate can directly impact their productivity, their health, their energy, their longevity, all of those things. The second, encourage physical activity. We can encourage our families to engage in physical activity and participate in family sports or activities, hikes, bike rides, just encouraging our children to be outside and ourselves as well being outside. And we know very clearly the benefits of all of that. A great book that I'm reading right now, I mentioned in the previous podcast, is called The Last Child in the Woods. And it goes into the research and the data behind spending time outside and physical activity with the health of our children, and certainly our health as well. So the third area that we can help our family by providing for their physical needs is ensuring that our family gets enough sleep. So we can help design and maintain routines and structure that help our families have healthy sleep habits. Regular bedtimes, regular wake times, comfortable sleeping environment for our children, for ourselves, and that's going to do wonders for our family's physical well-being. The fourth area is providing a safe home environment. So we can make sure that our home is a safe place, free from hazards, physical hazards, and everybody knows how to respond in case of emergency. And we'll talk more about that in the third element of the code, protect our families at all costs. But this is just essentially taking care of that physical environment, the home. Last night, we talked a little bit about that with my boys, 5 and 2-year-old, and they had, had all of their toys out in the living room playing, and toys were scattered everywhere, blocks, those kind of things, just all over the floor. And so after dinner, we cleaned, and in the attempt to get them to clean, the 5-year-old was very resistant. He wanted to just watch everybody clean. He said, "I will judge everybody. I'm going to judge everybody's quality of cleaning." And because typically we do what we call a Zammo, where we'll throw on some really upbeat music and just try to do it as fast as possible and kind of make a game out of it. But he's like, "No, I just want to judge." So I had to take a step back because I was starting to get a little bit frustrated and I was about to just dictate. I said, "Gents, the bigger perspective here," I said, "So why do you think we'd want to clean our home every night? Why do you think we'd want to pick up our toys?" And so he gave an answer. We kind of talked about it a little bit. And then I shared with him, one of the reasons we clean is so that our house is safe and organized, and that we have a good feeling when our house is organized and clean. So we want to feel good about the space that we live in. And so it sort of clicked for him, and then it help motivate him to clean. And then afterwards, we gave each other high fives, and it was awesome. And I said, now, how do you feel now that the living room is totally picked up, that it's clean? He said, oh, I feel good. I like how I run around. You have space now. I said, yeah, exactly. That's why we want to make sure we clean. So that's an element there. The fifth area is to promote regular checkups and medical care for our families. And this is something that I need to do a better job of as a father, for sure. I don't go into the doctor on a regular schedule like I probably should. Well, I do get my blood work done and physicals and those kind of things, but just making sure that we're on a regular schedule to make sure that our kids are healthy and that our spouse is healthy and we're healthy. We're making sure that we have some preventative measures in place. So those are five areas that we can focus on to help make sure that we're taking care of the physical well-being of our family, providing for that. So food, activity, sleep, home environment, and then medical care. So now let's move on to financial well-being and providing for that. I don't want to get too deep into this because each of these areas can be, we could have an entire podcast on it, but some basic things that I'm working on that I know can help anybody, no matter how much money you make and no matter where you are financially. These are some basics that can really help. First is having a budget in place. Second is saving for emergencies, having an emergency fund. And then third is having some form of fashion of investment, so making our money work for us. Fourth would be managing debt. And then fifth, teaching financial literacy. So those are all just really basic, fundamental things that we can do to make sure that we're providing those financial needs for our family. One of the things that I've been trying to do with my 5-year-old is start to teach him the value of work and earning the things that he has. And this was about probably 10 months ago or so. He really wanted a bike. Maybe it was a little bit longer than that. Might have been in 4 or something. He's pretty young, but he loves work. He loves projects. And so he wanted a bike. And so what we did is we set a goal. Okay, here are some projects that we're going to do to earn that bike. And we went around and we got some yard work jobs locally. We worked around the house, and with each job completed, he got closer to his goal. And it was really cool to watch how he went from the initial excitement of being in the bike store and seeing the bike that he wanted, through taking some time to work for it and then earning that income and then going back and being able to purchase that thing that he really wanted. So granted, we don't have to do that with everything with our kids, but look for little opportunities to teach those things. And I'm sure there's many things that we can do in that area. Okay. So the next area would be spiritual needs, making sure that we provide for that. So here's some general things that I've identified that we as dads can really focus on. Of course, there are more. But first is to encourage spiritual practices with our families. So what I mean by that is, what are the routines that we have built into our family culture that encourage spirituality? And that can look different based on your denomination or your faith or those kind of things. But, one of the things I remember growing up in my family's culture was that we always did family prayer every night. And, we'd kneel around the coffee table in the living room, and, most nights we'd read scriptures as well, but we'd kneel around the coffee table in the living room, kind of talk about our day. And in our family culture is awesome, but we ended up poking fun at one another, and it kind of turned into a roast session many times. There's 6 siblings or 6 kids in our family. And so my mom and dad we'd be kneeling around, and somebody would poke fun at another family member, and then they'd fire back. And before you knew it, it was back and forth. And, obviously my parents were trying their best to keep it spiritual, but at times it would digress into a trash talking session, and then we'd have to bring it back and then pray together. But I always remember that, and that was even though, again, it was a struggle sometimes for my parents with a bunch of young kids growing up and teenagers, that kind of thing. Like, as we grew, it was the effort and the thought that mattered, and that I'll always remember. And so that's motivating for for our family to do a similar practice. Attending religious services can be another practice. So it's just something that's built in. Just like with athletics, you have a routine that you have in place to develop skill sets and qualities. Um, Spiritual practices can be very similar to that. So think about that. What are some simple things that you can put in place as a father that help your family develop spirituality? The second area would be modeling spiritual values. And as we've talked about throughout the previous episodes in this podcast, so much of fatherhood is leading by example. We not to ask our families to do anything that we wouldn't be willing to do ourselves. So leading from the front, and that's really, my life, my father, the other men in my life that have influenced me. That was the primary reason they had influence over me, was because they modeled the things that they believed through how they acted. So, our traits of compassion, kindness, forgiveness, gratitude, humility, taking ownership of our lives help instill those values in those that we're around, especially our children, and can inspire our spouse to improve as well. So if we're honing that ourselves, a natural byproduct of that is that, we'll help model that for our children, for those around us. The third area, supporting spiritual exploration. So we can support our family members in exploring their own spirituality, finding what works best for them, teaching them approach to spirituality, helping them discover and ask questions is huge. And so books, workshops, retreats, experiences are really powerful in helping ourselves, but also our families discover. And that truly is the essence of spirituality. In my experience, it is the asking of questions and the discovering of answers through the process of meditation and prayer and studying scripture and taking action. So who are we to dictate, spirituality for our children? We're simply the guide. We're to introduce them to spirituality. And, I loved, again, referring back to my childhood, my parents modeled this wonderfully. They were very strong in their faith and still are. And I still remember them saying, you need to find out for yourself if what we're teaching you about our beliefs is true, because you cannot last on borrowed light. And so that was a message that was shared with me from a very young age. And so naturally, that's how I operated, is I realized this was my path that I needed to discover for myself. And I'm grateful for that, because had I not developed that ability to seek and ask questions, and had I not been in a space where that was okay, and that was encouraged and I was supported, I don't think I would have had the capacity to endure the challenges that I faced in my life. So I'm really, really grateful for that personally, that my parents modeled that. The fourth area, foster a sense of meaning and purpose. So it's our responsibility as fathers to help our family members find meaning and purpose. And we need to encourage them to pursue their passions, their dreams, to set goals, and to serve others. And this, we know, will promote a sense of fulfillment and purpose and joy in their lives that's rooted in a deeper spiritual connection to the world around them. So, again, referring back to that concept of leading by example, we first must foster a sense of meaning and purpose in our own lives as fathers. And that will allow us to lead our family members in that direction. The fifth area that we can provide for the spiritual well-being of our families is to cultivate a sense of wonder, curiosity, of awe with the world around us, to engage in the natural world around us. So encouraging our family members and ourselves to go out and spend time in the natural world and nature and cultivate a sense of wonder of the creation that surrounds us. In my faith, the creation is evidence of a loving God, that everything that he's created is a symbol of his love for us. And so when we see the sunrise, or we look at the sunset, or we see trees, foliage, animals, all the colors, all the textures, all the sounds, all the smells, of our natural world in its purest form. I mean, it is an opportunity to learn about that love and about that connection with our Creator. So that then helps our children connect to something that's much bigger than them and provides a space for them to go when they are seeking truth, when they are seeking answers or just comfort. And I know for me in extremely challenging times in my life, through ups and downs, I've been able to go to nature as a place for solace and peace and for searching, and just to be out in the quiet and the peace of nature and to connect to that bigger purpose is really powerful. I mean, you can't go out into the mountains and look at a starlit sky when there's like no light pollution around or anything. You can see the Milky Way all the way across the sky. And you can't help but, if you just look at the stars for 30 minutes, you can't help but think that there is more to life than just the day to day. And so I know that that's a very powerful thing that we can do as well. So in summary, with providing for our family spiritually, encouraging the practice of spirituality, modeling the values of spiritual values, supporting exploration and questions, fostering a sense of meaning and purpose, and then cultivating a sense of curiosity and wonder. So hopefully those 15 points in those areas have inspired you to improve or take action on one of those areas. I know for me that definitely there's things in each of those areas, physical, financial, and spiritual, that I'm working on improving right now. And I'm excited about that process. Okay, so the next sentence in this purpose, provide with consistency, is consistently improve my skills in my chosen field so that I can expand my influence, impact, and income. So I asked myself, okay, now, obviously there's a massive spectrum, a very wide spectrum of fields of work or professions that we as fathers have. So what traits do we need to have where the improvement of our skill set that expands influence, impact, and income is natural? It's just that improvement is a constant, because that if we're not growing, we're dying. I love that phrase, because it's so important that every single day we're pushing to grow and improve, and that helps us find that success and maintain that success, which is it's foundational in consistent providing. So I came up with 7 key traits that we can have as fathers that will help us constantly improve our skill sets. So the first is commitment. When we are committed to improving our skills and advancing our careers, our profession, we're going to be more likely to put in the time and the effort and the energy needed to achieve our goals. So are we committed to that thing? That's first. Second is adaptability. We talked about this a little bit in the previous episode, Lead with Integrity. There's a sentence in there that says, I'm adaptable, humble, and do not allow my ego to rule my decisions. So adaptability is a really, really powerful and essential trait to have in our world, because of how rapidly things are changing. I mean, the landscape of business is changing so fast. If you look at, it's 2023 at the time of recording. If you look 50 or 10 years ago, 5 years ago, things have changed so much in that time frame. And if we're not adaptable, we're not able to make adjustments and pivot, it's going to be harder for us to succeed. So we have to be open to learning new skills. I mean, that's one of the key things that's attached to adaptability: openness to learning new skills and embracing new technologies and advancements in tech, and staying up to date with the trends in our industry and in what we're doing. The third is a strong work ethic. So it's essential for success in any given profession is a strong work ethic. It's essential for progression as well. And if we're willing to put in the hard work and go above and beyond what is expected of us, and hold ourselves to that high standard, we're more likely to stand out. And whether we own our own business or we work in a business, that's going to allow us to achieve our goals over time if we're just consistent in that strong work ethic. Fourth is emotional intelligence. So if we're able to understand and manage our emotions ourselves, and then understand the emotions of others and be present in our communication with them, that's a valuable skill set in any given profession. But if we're emotionally intelligent, we're going to be better equipped to build strong relationships with, say, clients, colleagues, stakeholders in a business, you name it. Those relationships form the glue that allows us to build our careers and to move forward and find success. And that's ultimately going to help increase our influence, impact, and our income. Fifth is perseverance. So building a successful career and developing skills over the years takes perseverance, persistence. And along with that, we have to have the ability to bounce back from setbacks, because we know that there will be setbacks. That's just a part of life. So how quickly can we bounce back, and how quickly can we learn from those setbacks or perceived failures, difficulties? So when we have perseverance, we're able to stay motivated and on task in the face of all of that, in the face of challenges. And somebody who has that ability to persevere is much more likely to achieve success in long-term goals. Sixth is strategic thinking. So when we're able to think strategically and anticipate trends and opportunities, it really benefits us, because we're able to make decisions, informed decisions, more rapidly. And we'll be able to see the big picture, yet take action in the short term. The seventh is communication skills. So when we have effective communication skills, the ability to influence and speak clearly and understand and listen, it's going to help us in our profession, no matter what we do. So being clear in what we state, listening actively, that's going to help us build relationships with those that are going to be a part of that success and what we're growing and what we're doing. So those 7 traits, and there are more. One thing I'm developing right now is a list of leadership traits that can be combined with the self-evaluation that I mentioned in previous episodes. And having that list of traits and the descriptions of them will be a really powerful tool for study and for application for us. But these 7 traits are just, a few of many that are necessary for us to find success. But I feel like these are really powerful and very actionable. So think about which of those traits, commitment, adaptability, strong work ethic, emotional intelligence, perseverance, strategic thinking, and communication skills. Think about which one of those you need to work on the most right now. Which one's the lowest hanging fruit for you that you're like, okay, I know I can do that. I know I can work on that. And go work on it. Go figure out one thing you're going to do on a daily basis, or maybe it's just a focus that you have that's going to help you lock in on one of those traits and make it natural. Again, because the idea is that the development of those traits and personal growth is going to make the improvement of our skill set and the expansion of our influence, impact, and income natural. So the next sentence in the purpose is, I'm forward-thinking, intentional, informed, and intelligent in the management of all of my resources. I think that's huge, because I know in my life there's been times where I've been able to increase my income, but I haven't managed those resources on the back end as well as I could have. And so then that effort, it's just the effort that you put in, or the improvement that you make, is less impactful, because the management of those resources on the back end is less efficient, if that makes sense. So as you grow, influence, impact, income, let's manage that growth on the back end by just being aware of where those resources are being allocated. So it's front and back end work to do that. But I know that that's a very powerful thing to keep in mind when it comes to providing with consistency. So that is the second element of our purpose as fathers, is to provide for the physical, financial, and spiritual needs of our families with consistency. So it's my hope that you can set up your days, your weeks, your months, and your years from a structural standpoint that will allow you to be consistent in that. And when there are a lot of different people listening to this, and I don't know you, but I do know that no matter where we are on the spectrum, whether financially we're set and we have abundant resources financially, or we're in a place where we're really, really stressed and really scraping by, that when we simply structure and take action on this element of the purpose, there will be a peace that comes from that. Because the only thing we can control truly is what we do in the moment today. What happened yesterday is in the past. What will happen tomorrow is in the future. Neither of those are actionable. The only thing that's truly actionable is the time that we have today. That's the only thing we can really, really influence and take action on. So just remember that no matter where you are in that journey or in that spectrum, that what matters most is what's done today, and that will then build over time. So again, go take action on what you've felt today, and don't hesitate. Action cures the feelings that we have of a lack of progression or frustration or anxiety. Action really does cure that, and I've experienced that in my life fully. So I appreciate you spending some time with me today. We'll be discussing the next element of our purpose in episode 10. This podcast is exciting for me. It's humbling for me, because I realize as a father that the things that I'm sharing with you are things that I'm in need of working on, probably more than anybody else. And so it's very humbling for me. But my hope is that we can continue to build this community and this movement of men who seek to live their purpose as fathers to the fullest. And as we build that movement, as we build that community, there's going to be great strength in us being open with one another and improving alongside one another for the purpose of serving our families and building a stronger world. So until we meet again, until we speak again, thank you so much for spending some time with me today. And remember, live full strength or die.